So we are live now. So if people can put in the chat box, we'll know if we are live. Usually YouTube takes a delay in terms of when
Okay.
they.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep, we are live. Uh, GP, we already have some questions already.
Great. So we
Uh,
can get started.
so do you want to pick the question, or do you want to answer this? There's one question already here. In the form of IFT, there isn't any specific date mentioned until which we
Yeah.
can mark work experience. What do we do?
Just mark it as on date.
Yeah.
Just mark the answer. Work experience till date when the as per the date when you're filling up the form.
Yeah, wonderful. So we'll actually pick up the questions. Good evening, Rohit, Vamshi, Ranjana, Sanjay, Eden. So what we'll do is we will let me actually open the presentation,
Yeah.
and what we'll do now is between me and GP, we look at how to target IFT. And our idea is to first give you these two things: understanding IFT as a paper, and then we'll discuss strategy for IFT. While discussing strategy for IFT, we look at the past couple of years paper to give you an understanding as to how we can align your preparation for the CAT to IFT. Then post which, if we have questions from you, we'll be more than happy to pick that one up. Yeah,
I
GP.
think that's right. Yeah, Gejo, I think that's right. Let's keep questions for the end, unless we see any specific question which is relevant or connected. But by and large, let's go through the basics first. Then we will hopefully be able to answer most of the question in the session itself.
Fair enough. So understanding IFT, the first thing is there are certain things that we know, certain things that we don't know. What we know is exam days on the 5th of September is a 2 hour examination. Testing agency is a national testing agency. Is there any relevance to that? GP, National Testing Agency?
No real relevance. It's only that some people get their papers conducted through TCS, some are getting through NTA. So frankly, no relevance of this.
Okay, the what we don't know is number of sections, the
Yeah.
marking scheme, and
Mhm.
also the cutoff. And
Right.
this is would be probably surprising to many.
Hmm.
I think that's where we start
Yeah.
dealing with. Let's look at the history of IFT. GP,
Yeah.
this is the areas in IFT. This has always been the case, right?
Yeah. So if I just give a background to IFT as a paper, I'll do a comparison with CAT and ZAT when you look at IFT. CAT and ZAT, to my mind, are purely knowledge papers. They don't push you to take decisions on the run with limited information. Uh, After all 40 minutes you have to do a particular section in CAT. That gives you more time, but the time is more than enough to complete the paper. When it comes to IIT, there are lots of unknowns. If we look at the kind of unknowns we have, we know only these 6 sections are there. But what is the marking scheme per section? We don't know. What are the cutoff we can estimate? But obviously the cutoff is a post facto kind of a thing, and it's dependent on the number of sections. If it's 4 sections, 6 sections, the cutoff varies significantly. Uh, for the last couple of years, IFT has been giving 3 marks for every question and minus one for wrong answer. Only in GK it has been plus 1.5 and minus zero point 0.5. But if you go before that, IFT used to have a 1 mark for Quant, a 0.75 to 1 mark for RC, and it would vary from year to year. 0.75 to 1 mark for DI, again it would vary. Logical reasoning again could be anything from 0.75 to 1, and GK was the only constant, which was zero point 0.5. I'll say rather GK and Quant were the only constant, zero point 0.5 and 1. But the other section, the marking scheme would vary year to year. So when you entered the paper, the only thing you knew, you had 2 hours with you, and in addition to that, you are likely to have 4 to 6 sections, but beyond that, you don't did not have any idea as to how much, what will the marking scheme, etc., etc. And on top of it, the degree of difficulty across sections and across years varied a lot. So this is a paper which was actually checking your temperament, your aptitude. While CAT and that, they are fairly predictable. When it comes to IFT, the level of predictability is much more lower, and which is why I've always maintained this is a test of aptitude, there's a test of temperament. While when you look at cat and that, they are by and large tests of your knowledge. Yes, your temperament gets tested a bit, but not to the extent as is the case for IFT.
Yeah. So to start with, to give you details in terms of what GP is telling you, so there are these for 6 areas. EU is English usage, RC is reading comprehension, QA is quantitative ability, data interpretation, logical reasoning, and general awareness. So, but when it comes to, if I look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of paper, you can see this is the areas here, 6 areas. In ZAT 2015, 2017, this is admission year. So this would have been the paper that would have been happened on the year 2014.
Yeah,
So that's something that you should look at. So you had 4 sections. EU and RC was one section, QA DA was one section, LR was a different section, GA was a different section. Then the second year, EU and RC was one section, but QA independently was another section. DILR got combined. Then you had general awareness as of next section. That was the same in the next year. Then in this would have been 17 and 18 that year papers.
yes,
You can see
that's
that
right.
each section, 6 sections each. Suddenly they change. Now they have come back to probably very similar to this, where EU and RC is one section, QA is one section, DLR is combined one section, and GA is one section. The section becomes relevant because IFT has sectional cutoffs.
That's right.
And if there are 6 sections, individually EU and RC would have cutoffs. There will be a cutoff for this, cutoff for this. If they have combined, then there is no individual cutoff for EU and RC. There's a combined sectional cutoff. So GP, I think the first thing is that we should, for next year, we should prepare like it's going to have 6 sections. That's what
Yeah.
I
So
think the
the
first.
assumption is, from a preparation perspective, it is always going to be 6 sections should be your focus. In when you enter the examination hall, you find 4 sections. It makes your life easier. And while many students will say, but only twice in the last 6 7 years it has been 6 sections. But if you go prior to 2015-17, between 2010 and 2015, another 2 to 3 years it would be a 6 section paper. So this is the complexity of the paper, number of sections. And and even when it is 4 sections, you don't know whether it is QADI which is combined or DILR which is combined. Your entire strategy of attempting the paper has to be finalized in the first 5 minutes of the paper. So you go through the section, see what it's all about, then you start attempting the paper.
So the first 5 minutes of IFT is going to be absolutely crucial, therefore, to get a sense of what the paper is in the first place. So making sense of this. The second thing that I want to talk about, GP, is the GP has mentioned, which is the marking scheme. So just for you to understand this, first is questions. For example, in this year paper, 20 questions were asked, and marks per question, 0.75 marks per question, and the total marks is 15 marks. So even though EU and RC was one section back then, EU had English usage question at 0.7 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. General awareness 0.5. And whatever be the total number of questions, the variation has been 124, 120, 114, 100, and this, all these were 100 marks. Like
Yeah.
GP was saying, the last 2 years, he had 3 marks for each of these questions from the sections of EU, RC, QA, DI, LR. General awareness have been 1.5 marks out of 3. So the fact that general awareness has been 0.5 mark is, if 1 may 0.5 and the 3 may it is 1.5, that has been consistent. But we had all kind of variations, GP, from
The interesting
point,
thing is,
point
yeah, sorry.
sorry 0.75, and I think that this one was inconsistent. Reading comprehension has been consistently 1 mark and 3 sort of 3 marks, full mark. QA has been consistent. You had variation with respect to DI in some years. So you can see that variation in DI in some year. You can see variation in LR in some year. So at least the marking scheme of, at least so far, but you never know what is going to happen. So
No,
this,
no.
I think,
Again,
yeah,
if we go prior to 2014, again there were years when RC was also 0.75 mark. But
okay.
but thankfully they have stuck to now RC Quant as 1 mark or 3 marks now, and the GA as 1.5 or zero point 0.5 marks as the case may be. So there is a complexity, and look at the to ensure that the total marks is always 100. Look at 2015-17 paper, RC 17 questions. Why was it 17? When they made the paper, it was coming out to only 99 marks. They said, let me add one more question of RC. Every other year it is RC 16. typically 4 passages of RC, 4 questions per RC, 16 questions. So these kind of variations keep on happening. End of the day, it's 100 marks with sectional cutoffs. Whether it is 4 or 6 sections, you don't know. If it is 4 section, there is no subsection limit. Sectional cutoff, it is always going to be sectional cutoff. And
So,
as I said, you discover some of these things when you enter the examination hall.
so this 100 marks to 3 mark is not, is basically each question instead of carrying 1 mark net
Yeah,
got three
that's all
marks.
they
That's
have
all.
done.
Huh.
Just they have eliminated the decimals for all practical purposes.
Okay, so they wanted to handle that. When it comes to cutoff, therefore, oops, sorry. I think I've did. Let me share the screen once again. Let me get back. I think something happened there. Even my this thing said IFT. What's going on? So let
Yeah.
let
So
me.
while you share, I'll take up a couple of questions. The question is, when is the marking scheme disclosed? You see the marking scheme when you open the question paper. Or rather, it's a computer-based test. So before you open the question paper, one screen will show you what is the structure of the paper. That is the time, which means 3 to 5 minutes before the paper, you'll know when the marking scheme is, what the marking scheme is. And yes, GK marks, Anuj, are counted. Many people are asking, are GK marks counted? Yes, they are counted. GK is the only section which results in many people losing their, not meeting the sectional cutoff. In every other section, you can usually clear the sectional cutoff.
There are some more questions. Every 2 years, pattern is changing. So will it change this year? That is
We
Shaubik's
don't know.
questions.
Yeah, yeah. See, with IFT, you should be ready for the change, which is why I say it's a test of temperament. When you go into the CAT, 40 minutes in this section, if I do 10 questions, 11 questions, 13 questions, I'll get this kind of a score. When we look at the cutoffs, you'll realize the cutoff, the overall as well as section, the overall cutoff, essentially, not the sectional cutoff so much, the cutoff changes significantly from year to year.
Okay. So one more question, then I think we can pick. So GP's last time the interface was not good. What are your thoughts?
No, Alvin, I don't think there was any issue with the interface. By and large, I think they had done the NT had also outsourced the task to TCS. So it was at a TCS center only that one was taking the paper, and the interface was also of TCS. So it might have been an issue at your center or your system, but by and large, the interface is not an issue.
Okay, so let's get back to the discussion, and we'll answer all the questions. So just hold on with your questions. So this has been the cutoff GP. I
Yeah.
think you have to understand that each of these are 1 mark, and those kind of mark, these are different. So let's start with GK, maybe GP. I think I can
No, no,
already see some.
just look at the overall cutoff first. General category, others you can reduce accordingly. Look at the gap from 38.5, or rather, the lowest was 2019-21 at 32.25. Yes, 32.25, and the highest is 48.5. It's almost a 50% jump. It's almost a 50% jump. 32 to 48 is 1.5 times. So it's like saying 99 percentile in CAT moves from 100 to 150 marks. It's a huge jump we are talking about. And what you would also see, whenever it's a 4-section paper, the cutoffs are comparatively higher. When it's a 6-section paper, the cutoff is slightly lower. The last two papers, 138 and 137, you just divide that by 3. So that will be how much? 45, 46. So which is closer to the 4-section papers, and which is what they are. Okay. So to me, that's the first thing you need to understand. When it's a 6-section paper, don't panic. Remember, the cutoffs are going to fall because you need to manage 6 sections. And when you have to manage 6 sections, you will not be able to maximize your scores in every section. You will be on the lower side in every section because you need to make sure you get a cutoff in every section. In a 4-section paper, let's say Quant and DI are together, you don't understand any bit of DI. You can leave DI completely and do only Quant. Similarly, EU RC, you don't understand any word in EU. Just do RC. You'll clear the cutoff and get a good score also. So, which is why in a 4-section paper, the cutoffs go up, and in a 6-section paper, the overall cutoff comes down.
Other thing that it says, if I add all these up, 34, 15, 22, 5, that does not
Yeah.
add up to 138.
No, no, it will add up to about 50 to 60% of the total. So, if we add up what is this 34, 49, 54, and 22 is 76. 76 would be roughly 40%, 60% of 138. Okay. Now, what that means is, while clearing the cutoff is not going to be difficult, sectional cutoff is not going to be difficult. getting to an overall cutoff, you will need to maximize in at least one, maybe two sections. You need to have a very good score in two sections out of four or six, as the case may be. But clearing sectional cutoff is usually not going to be a challenge. Look at this. When you look at 34, 3 marks per question, that means 11 questions out of 105 is 35. 105 is 35 questions, 35 into 3, yeah. Okay. So 11 questions you clear the cutoff, and many of these questions are going to be absolute sitters. So sectional cutoff is not a challenge as far as IFT is concerned. It is the overall cutoff which is where you will need to work.
The one sectional cutoff people will have a problem, I'm guessing, is this general
General awareness.
awareness. But here I
Absolutely.
can also see cutoffs like 0.82, 0.82, things like that.
Gejo, the 2014, 13, 15, it was 0.49, which means one question you marked correctly and left everything else in GK, you would have cleared the sectional cutoff. And I think it's very, very important thing that you have picked up out here, because this is the place where people miss out on the cutoff because they do random marking. Look at the cutoff. 2.49 is 5 marks. 5 questions, sorry, half mark per question. 8.5 is zero point 0.5, it is one and a half, about 6 questions. Now, my point is, this
This
is
is
a
this you're
section.
talking about. You're talking about
Yes,
here this
8.5
9.
would be, yeah, absolutely right. 8.5 is 6 questions. So, so in this section, your target has to be to say, let me get 4 to 6 questions correct, and let me not do any guesswork, because when you do guesswork, you will start collecting negatives. Every year, I find students, they mark randomly and suddenly they find they have missed the sectional cutoff of GA. This is the only section in which people miss the sectional cutoff. So I've had students who have had a very high overall score, clearing the overall sectional cutoff by a mile, but missing out on general awareness because they did random marking. GA, the rule has to be simple. Read the question, you know the answer, please mark it, otherwise move on. Even if you do 2 questions, 3 questions, do only genuine attempts, no guesswork. Only genuine attempts to be done. Keep your guesswork for the other section.
Actually, if I look at all these, this will be zero point 0.5 marks everywhere. No, so this will be about
Yeah,
3 questions. This will be
this is
about two
two.
questions. This will be about four. This will be about 2 questions. This will be about 5 questions. So
Yes.
nowhere it has reached 10 questions or anything. Malab, out of the total, I don't know how many questions were there.
Out
We are looking at
of
these.
25 odd questions. Yeah. See, on an average, look at 20 questions. 20
Hmm.
questions, if you get 5 correct answers, if you get, let me say, 4 correct answers, most probably you have cleared the sectional cutoff. If you get 6 correct answers, you have definitely cleared the sectional cutoff. General awareness, no guesswork to be done. Just look at the question, and when we go through the question paper, we'll discuss that again. But the ground rule is no guesswork.
And there are, so it is kind of easy to clear the cutoff. So we'll have to come out with a plan of action. So before that, let's basically look at what would be the IFT that you're going to take. So this is our estimate.
Yes.
GP, English usage will be approximately 20 questions.
Hmm. That's right.
Uh, Reading comprehension is 15.
Hmm. Yeah, so if you look at the last 6, 7 papers, you'll find these to be the ballpark numbers. It could be a plus minus 1 or 2 in each of these sections, but these are going to be the number of questions that are likely to be there. IFT typically has been about 110 to 120 marks, 120 questions. On the high side, 120, may on the lower side, maybe 105. But 110 is the ballpark that I always look at. 110 questions, 300 marks now, and the marking scheme for the last 2 years has been this. And whenever NTA has come, there has been some kind of standardization, and I am guessing probably the standardization will continue with a plus 3 and a 1.5 kind of a thing. However, I cannot still be sure about the number of sections. Is it going to be 4 or 6? It could be LR and DI combined, it could be QA and DI combined, it could be six sections, it could be EURC combined. Okay, so whether it is 4 or 6, I don't know, but whenever it's a 4 section, EURC are a single section, and they have toggle between QADI and QA and LRDI.
Correct.
Okay.
So, so this has been broadly the number of questions that we're going to get. And
So
what we'll now look at is look at strategies, which will be look at 2 papers and get into the depth of it. Before that, if there are any questions that we can pick up from so far what we have discussed, we can do that.
yeah,
So let's see if there are Any questions that we believe? So one question is here. There are no sectional time
No.
in IFT. No, there are no sectional time in
And
IFT.
you see that is what complicates the issue, because when you have to manage 6 sections or even 4 sections and you have 2 hours, you're always running. If cat is one day, this is a T20 match that you're playing. With a T20, you will be continuously running. You don't have time to think. So you have to be very quick on your feet. You have to be thinking on your feet and very quickly making the changes. It make a mistake, mess up one section, end of the story. Though you'll not get another chance. In cat, as I said, it's a one-day kind of a scenario. That is a test match. It gives you ample time to sleep also and then come back and do the paper.
So there is other questions. I think we'll pick up some more. 6 marks is
Sir,
sectional cutoff, sir. Yes, it is for GK. That's what we have been saying. So we are talking about preparation, which will talk later. Somebody's talking about categories and other aspects. We'll talk. Rahul,
yeah.
your questions we'll answer later. Anyone else?
That 6 marks is sectional cutoff. I'll say, Ajay, 6 questions, 6 correct answers is what you are targeting. So anything between 4 to 6 correct answers, if you have done, please don't take any more chances.
Yeah. So there is some more. It is a speed-based paper. So how to prepare it differently from CAT Naman? That is $1 million question that we'll address now, and many more of the questions. So we will address these questions now with respect to uh, the strategy. And for that, I think let's go one paper. Let's start with GP. Let's actually start with 2021 paper, and we'll pick
Yeah,
up GK as a section. General awareness first. I think
sure,
that seems to be.
sure.
Let's
No, no,
start
that's
with
very
general.
important because, as I said, this is a section where people mess up the paper.
So this paper, by the way, that I'm opening is that last year paper. Okay, so this is exact paper. This is reading comprehension. Let's get to general awareness and go through data interpretation, logical reasoning. Where is it? It was end, is it? Okay, there you go.
Last, yeah, yeah. Now, now, Jijo, what I would want the students to do is look at the questions and see whether you know the answer or not. Don't do any guesswork. And I'm sure you will find in these 20 to 25 questions, you'll always find 4 to 6 questions which you can answer correctly. That is one thing. Second thing is, look at question number 92. Every IFT paper has a few questions like this match the following. You can see question 99 also, for example. Okay, these match the following are your saving. Let's say they will save you. They will give you a couple of question marks for free. You get one answer, one match. Usually, 8 out of 10 you'll get the answer. One
If you
maximum 2 matches are required.
Iron Lady, the only lady that is here is Margaret Thatcher, so that should be enough for us to answer that question.
Yeah,
And if you know,
absolutely.
beautiful mind is John Nash.
Your
One
match.
at least one even know that he will get the answer to that question. So there is, for example, if I simply go through the question, though, this is manageable. Global multi-dimensional poverty index. Okay, maybe not.
No.
Kho, a popular sport game in India, has been part of which of the following games? And
Yeah.
I believe that this.
Look,
Hmm.
look at the choices. Commonwealth, no. Olympics, definitely no. It can only be Asian Games or South Asian Games. And now you ask yourself, do you ever remember India winning a medal in any of them? Because India has won. India has one medal. But if you are not sure, then you should leave it. Kho is a game, okay, which is not there in Asian. It can only be in South Asian, because even for Asian games, you will have countries like Japan, etc., which will not be playing Kho. Kho is a uniquely, let's say, Indian game. So the only possibility out here is South Asian game. But we can skip this question. To
94, beyond the last few mountain, out of which businessman? If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Name the following car brand that makes shark. So, for
and
example,
one
96.
important thing is, typically it will be a new, it will be current. Now look at the choices also. Seltos last year launched recently. Tigor again launched recently. So it is going to be current affairs, which you will always find a couple of few questions.
Let's probably pick up some question that we'll know. Compass, I don't know this one. Gland, I have no idea. Let's, for example, look at this one. For example, Priyanka Radhakrishna was in news, I
Fiji,
believe.
Fiji. Last
Was
year she was in news.
99. Question number 99 is probably something that people might be able to look at.
Yeah.
Here, sometimes they do this also. A, you can see is 3, but then every answer choice is given 3. I don't know
Yeah.
why they do this also.
Why they have it, I don't know. If they have everyone has to be teeth, it should not be there in the first place. But you'll find this fairly common in IFT. A couple of questions will be like this.
And we have got 100 World Economic Forum Logistics Index. I think, for example, 102 may be something that you probably will be able to manage. At least you know.
I think
wha-
Sebastian Vettel, many people would know.
Hmm. So that'll be either between these two, and then we can look at other one. So all
Yeah,
these people would have been in news here. That if we keep on going, currency Nugal Trump, which will be Bhutan,
yeah, Bhutan.
not a member of ASEAN. For example, look at, for example, 105. Match the country with its leader. So I think
Hmm.
uh, so. It's Sri Lanka. I think this people would know, or the fact that C is two. In some cases, that would be enough. So there are
Hmm.
two answer choices. Australia is Scott Morrison. So
Yeah.
so it is. So if I,
Another
yeah.
look at this, Gejo.
Hmm.
Malaysia is a dominantly Islamic country. There's only one Muslim name. Okay. So
Which
B
is
one should be the sorry, that's B1.
B1. Okay, sorry. Huh. Which is these two things. Huh. So what happened with match the following? You don't need to know everything. A few things with elimination can work,
Yeah.
and some more which is here, right? We have which nation has formally exited the Paris Climate Agreement. This was well, this
Trump.
was a big. Huh?
This
Donald
was a
Trump did
Trump
it.
question.
Birdie and eagle are two terms related to which of the following sports?
Mhm. Even
And so you.
106, though. If you
Uh,
look at 106 also,
uh,
I'm sure people know this. The WhatsApp was looking at payment transfer.
so if you're kind of someone who is someone who is at least by and large knows what's going on in the recent news, should be able to at least clear the cutoff. I don't think that you should think of anything beyond clearing the cutoff in GK. What's a GP?
No,
Huh?
see, unless you are preparing for UPSC
Huh.
and then taking CAT, getting more than let's say 7, 8 questions or going into double dates in GK is going to be a challenge. Double date questions. Otherwise, 6, 7, 8 you can always. If you look at, if not more, around half the questions were current affairs oriented. So if you have been reading newspaper regularly, it will not be a challenge.
So this is the 2 years ago. So you
Yeah,
have seaport and the country where it's located. I'm sure that this is manageable.
yeah.
I think if not
Rotterdam
anything,
and Antwerp, I'm sure many people will know. Jabal Ali, people will know. Jabal Ali has to be UAE.
P is 3, so ho gaya, finished, story over. That is at least the only sounding name which can go. The Rotterdam is Netherlands. So again, the same thing happened. Not so
So Vijay, can we just circle the question which we think everyone should be able to mark? So 91
okay.
is
Let's
one question. Let's see
91 is
how many
one.
questions we, yeah. Okay.
What about 92 GP?
I think people will not know, so we can leave it.
93. He is a French business magnate, investor, of art collector. He is the chairman and chief executive of LVMH, the world.
This is going to be a challenge because the names are all very different.
Name the shoe brand derived from the wildcat found in Americas. I think
I'm
this
sure
this
this
can.
people will know. Puma.
Okay. Which of the following country is not a member of BIMSTEC?
Yeah. So this I think many people will not know, though some will know. But BIMSTEC, if we remember, is about Bay of Bengal, so that makes it China not being there. But I think we can leave this
Uh,
question.
Identify ISRO's mission whose objective is to carry three-member crew to low orbit Earth. I think Gaganyaan. This was famous that time, but I don't
Yeah,
know. We should keep
that's right.
circulate or leave it. I think. So that's,
Let's leave it. Let's be a little harsh and say what is the worst that a student will be able to do.
according to latest UN National Migrant Stock Report. Chuck it. Okay. Okay. Let's move to this one. Adani Group won the bid to manage and develop which of the following airports in India?
Okay, I think we can skip because this again
83
is
is a
something. Ah,
83 is a biopic of which famous personality?
this I'm sure people will know. This is
Couple.
Kapil Dev. Yeah,
83 is when India won the
World Cup.
World Cup, no?
Yeah,
2018 Winter Olympics was held in which country? I don't
I,
know.
okay. I think we can leave this one.
It was South Korea, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Match the following state. I think if you happen to be in one of these states, God bless you.
you,
You can get it.
yeah. If you
I
are
don't know
from Goa,
anything.
then Goa, Jammu, Kashmir, Nagaland, Sikkim, MP, you'll probably know the answer. But this was a difficult question. I remember. This is a question I had left in the paper.
Okay, 102. Scientists plan to build an elevator between Earth and Moon to cut down rocket fuel. But leave it. Okay. The terms technical foul, flagrant and foul are most commonly associated with sports. I think foul
And,
would not be in table tennis and badminton. I
the,
don't heard this. It has to be. Hmm,
and the term flagrant foul, I'm sure many people watch World Cup. They would not
correct.
have. So that is good enough to eliminate the choices.
Which of the following countries Afghanistan shares its border? All these countries are we don't know where it is. So
Yeah.
so
This, yeah. So this is something which people will not know. But for example, Iran definitely has to be there. Afghanistan shares a border with Iran. It shares a border with Turkmenistan. Is that good
but
enough for you to eliminate choices or not? Is what you need to look at.
जीपी IFT ने सब
Oh,
में है.
डी सब में है. देखो ए कितनों में है. Turkmenistan
एक
is also there.
अच्छा so which means these two gone.
Okay.
Now it boils down to whether
So the
Tajikistan is
issue is see Tajikistan is there or not. I don't know. So I can
चलो
skip.
ठीक है.
I'll skip this question.
2014 Hong Kong protest was termed as
Yeah,
which ministry launched the Udaan scheme?
yeah. Oran,
This would be this one, no skill development, nahi. Huh,
Oran, yeah. Skill development or women and child skill
I
development.
don't know.
Yeah, skill
I think
development.
this. Which is the co-founder of multi-brand sneaker store, veg, non-veg. So then you have next be match the
Another
following.
multi-channel.
ये होगा ना, yeah. But that's okay. I'm not counting it.
Yeah,
Match the juice brand with their company. This is again the same problem. A is 4. So it's everywhere A is 4 and everywhere E
right.
is 1. So the
Okay.
fact that Minute Maid is Coke and
Real
Tropicana
is
is
double.
uh,
Real is double.
real is Dabur, that is B is 5. So then we get these two options. Then you have to look at other two things,
Yeah,
which are
paper
very.
boat and hector beverages. So this is a
I'm,
slightly difficult one.
the Gandhi Solar Park, a recently inaugurated headquarters, which organization? Let's leave it. Which one of the following is not a recipient of award? This would be okay, right?
Ravish Kumar is there. Yeah, this would be okay. CNR Rao should be the answer. So how
One,
many questions have we found?
one, two. With my total product knowledge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. How many marks is that? 5 questions. 5 into
Five
1.5.
questions. This is last to last year, na 7.5,
Huh,
and the cutoff was 5 marks.
correct.
Last to last year, the GK cutoff was 5 marks. So my point is, you don't know what the cutoff is going to be, but you are very sure that it will be a low cutoff. If it is going to be a low cutoff, please don't worry about how many questions you mark. Just mark the question which you are 100% sure of. Leave the rest. One thing you would have seen, these are across areas. It is not that all questions are current. There are some current, there are some static. Second thing you will see, there will be a couple of questions from sports. There are a couple of questions from science. None of these were about, yeah, there was a question from books and authors also. So every area of GK, you'll have a couple of questions. So you'll always get a couple of questions which you know. So it is not going to happen. And the second, another thing which you would have noticed, that this paper is current affairs. If you have been reading newspapers regularly, you will get the answer. Now, closer to the exam, we will give a compendium also. Please make sure you mug up that compendium, you memorize. The GK compendium, every year we find out of the 20 odd or 25 questions, about half the questions, if not more, are from compendium. So if you have
This is
mugged up, memorized the compendium, you will definitely clear the cutoff.
this is coming out in 15th October, by the way. I checked it. So
Okay, great.
so they're basically, or therefore, what we have to spend is 5 minutes maximum. GP. I think nothing more than
More
that.
than enough. Five is more than enough. Again, if you are spending 7-8 minutes, you'll only collect negatives and you'll only waste time. Because
Mark,
look at
the
it this way,
only. Huh.
20 seconds per question. 20 seconds per question if you know the answer, or if you don't know the answer. If you are spending 2 minutes or 1 minute, that means you are trying to eliminate choices and you are wasting time, because if you don't have the knowledge, you cannot eliminate the choices. Elimination of choices will happen in one, at best two questions. So know this. This is a place where I will be very clear about no chances to be taken.
Okay, so let's have a look at English usage and reading comprehension together, GP. I think we will look at the 2022 paper. So the cutoff was 34 out of this total 105. The 34 would be
Yeah,
how many questions? 11 question net, correct?
11 questions.
So people have a problem with English usage
Yeah.
because that is not CAT. So let's have a look at
Yeah,
the
Gejo,
paper here.
before that, if you just go back to the PPT, if you just go
One
back to the
second.
presentation.
I'll just go back. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, just a couple of slides, Piche. Just go
This
one
one?
more slide. Now one more before this.
Okay.
Now look at the EURC breakup. Okay? Even in 2000, in 2022, in these two papers, it was similar. If you look at the breakup of EU plus RC, it was something similar, 20 plus 15, 19 plus 16 kind of a thing. So one thing which you need to be clear about is RC is typically going to be 16 questions, 4 passages, and typically about 20 odd questions will be from EU. That's the broad framework of this paper. Okay. Secondly, EU is slightly different. It has vocabulary, it has sentence correction, it has grammar, it has occasionally given question of spellings also. It has given those grammar based rules also. Everything they have asked. They have asked crosswords also. So EU again in this paper is almost like general awareness. You don't know the meaning of the word, you can't do anything about it. Please leave. Which is the scoring part in this paper? In this section, EU and RC, it is RC which is the scoring portion. RC scoring because the passages are not very long. They are longer than what you will see in CAD, but they are not significantly longer. But more importantly, they'll be easy to read passages, and most of the questions are factual in nature. So this is the section which you need to maximize. RC is the section where you have to maximize. You have to make sure you are able to 16 questions, 48 marks. Can you get a 40? Worst case, can you get a 35? I will say 12 questions is correct answers is what you are looking for at the minimum. And if there's one section if you that you should look at spending extra time if required, it is RC. EU again is, as I said, like general awareness. You know the answer, mark. You don't know the answer, leave. Yeah, Jijo. Now we can go to the paper.
Yeah. So basically, what that means is that if let's say the cutoff is 34, 36, you're basically saying that this has to come from RC,
RC, absolutely.
RC
And
alone,
what you
and then
get from
EU is bonus.
absolutely EU is bonus. Get the cutoff from RC, and if possible, get 40 out of 48 from RC.
And in
Now,
fact,
now,
this is,
now, now put that in context of the overall cutoff of about 135, 140. One third of the total score required you can get easily from EU. From RC, sorry, not EU, RC. 40 out of 138 is slightly less than one third, let's say 30%.
so the key is that whatever is your preparation for the cat is going to be absolutely useful in this case. So let's have a look at the paper there. We look at 20, 21, 22. The I think all of you are looking at the quantitative section going, what is this? We'll come to that soon. And we have got, let's start with reading comprehension. So this is passage number 1. I think it it is fine. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraph. And one other good thing is that there is no pressure on sort of time. You have to complete it in so much time and these things. So that pressure is also not there. And like GP said, is look at, for example, the question. The disadvantage of DI are that. So this is a sort of a direct question. And you look at the next question. This says, look at this one. According to the passage, how does the author differentiate? According to the author, there is nothing like what can be inferred. What is the thing? What did the author think when he was sleeping? Nothing of that sort. And then you have the second one talks about
Jijo,
where,
out
where-
of 16 questions, out of the 16 questions of RC, optimistically four, or let me say pessimistically, 4 questions will be inferential and 16 out of 12 will be direct questions. So
yeah.
and there's another thing which is interesting about this paper is typically the first question will be from the first paragraph, the second question will come after a little later, the third question will be a little later, and the fourth question will be from the last couple of paragraphs. So you can almost go through the passages and go through the questions simultaneously.
Yeah. So this is also an easy read. It's kind of a story. Entire library is not very difficult. So again, if I look at the question with respect to the passage, identify the statement is correct. So we have some interpretation here, and
No,
then
31 is a direct question. 31
31 is
is
the
direct.
32 is direct.
Finishing, yeah, 32 is direct. The first 30th was a interpretation.
Correct.
Okay,
And 33 is
30th
the
and
main idea kind
33rd
of a
are the,
question. Huh.
yes, absolutely. So these kind of questions will typically be 4 out of 16.
Yeah. So much debate around the kind of political system based on the function of market economy and people's right. So this passage is also not that sort of longish ones, manageable. The author believes that. So this is probably a kind of interpretation one. And then you have this one, the necessary condition of economic growth is East Asian exhibits. Again, a lot of many of these direct questions. And then you have Japanese interesting case study culture. And then you have questions. So if let's say if there are 14 for 4 passages GP,
Yeah.
would you suggest actually spending something like 35 minutes in this 4 passage? I would
You
probably.
know, my starting point typically would be you should allocate something like 40 to 45 minutes for EU plus RC. And my
Okay.
breakup would be 10 minutes for EU and the balance 30 to 35 minutes for RC. Now, if you are a voracious reader, you are able to read fast, reading is not an issue, you will possibly do the RC part in 30 minutes. If not, be willing to spend 5 minutes extra because, as I said, this is a section where you can maximize your score. Between EU plus RC, can you get a 60 to 65? 65 plus is what I would look for. And that 65 will happen only if you get a 35 plus in this particular chart, which is the RC. So 5 minutes extra in RC, I would not be afraid to give at all.
So the rule is no, there is no leaving RC passages and all. So you're
Not
solving.
at all. Not at all. In this is a paper which is built around RC. You get a good score in RC. Look at it. Question passages are not lengthy. While look at the last passage, it is not even half a page. While the first passage was almost this passage, yeah. It starts from the middle of the first column and ends just before the end, middle of the second column. So it is not even one column, less than half a page. Similarly, the first passage was lengthy. So what you need to do is tell yourself, I need to put 7 to 9 minutes per passage. On an average, 8 minutes per passage, 32 minutes. You will comfortably do it. You will not have a problem because the passage will not be difficult to read. And I would want all students to definitely attempt these papers.
Yeah. When it comes to EU, I think the rule, according to me, is that never get stuck in any question. Don't think extra. Don't feel bad or anything. Just pick up the ones that you know and move on. We can look at a few questions. This is something that they
Can
do.
you,
These
yeah, can
crosswords.
you just increase the font?
Sure.
Yeah, that this should be fine. Yeah. Yeah.
So in these questions, certain words are given. I
Hmm.
think I don't know how many words you would know, and then you have this crossword puzzle is given, and there is one question which is asking about hint is given about the 4 1, and then you have to put the crossword sort of puzzle down. That is one
Yeah.
question.
Right.
Other question is below A and B are given the meaning of synonym of 2 words on the above table. Identify the correct matching of the word. Change of pursuit unruly. So if let's say if you look at this is again match the following. If
Yeah.
you look at some of these combination, if you know meaning of some of this word, then you can manage it. Otherwise, you leave it. That's what you should do.
Yeah. So, and typically these are questions you don't go from the words to the choices, you go from choices to the words. A11. What is the word 11? 11 number word is
11 is
loquacious.
hmm,
Loquacious is someone who talks a lot. If you don't know the meaning, move on. If you know the meaning, this choice is incorrect because change of fortune cannot be loquacious. So choice A, choice one is wrong. So you keep on eliminating choices as you go along. Similarly, if you look at statement choice 2, A6. A6 is vicissitude. This is what is connected to change of fortune. Okay, but I cannot be sure, so check A1. A1 is definitely wrong. Boisterous is wrong. Third, so choice 3 is wrong.
6
A6.
is so 6
Yeah,
is
so
institute.
A6
Sorry.
is fine. Now look at B1 and B11. B1 one was boisterous. So unruly can be boisterous.
So basically, if you know the meaning, you mark. If you don't know the meaning, don't mark. There is nothing
Absolutely.
to think
So
about this.
yeah, and to that extent, which is why I said it is like general awareness.
Yeah. And here maybe you can do probably some jugaad, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 letters. So this you can probably check out something. But these are all things. If you don't know the meaning, don't try and do anything. But let's for the timing assume that it is a 0 here. GP. I did not get anything.
Yeah.
Then you had this question.
Hmm.
Dilate is to contract. So dilate is to contract. Dilate is these are opposite in nature. And this probably is wax and wane could be the answer. This may you may know. Savage is the one who is barbaric. So this has to be synonym. But if you look at
Synonymous.
the answer choices, some you may crack, some you may not crack. So maybe you'll get one, maybe you'll get nothing, which is okay.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
So
so, so if you look at these 42 to 48, my guess is 45 to 48 out of these four, possibly people get two, maybe three. Okay. Prior to
so
that,
maybe
this is the
uh,
yeah.
sorry,
The,
sir,
the
sorry, we
earlier
continue.
questions, the earlier questions 42 to 44. Now, please remember there's a huge potential of time wastage in these questions 42 to 44. So, if you are someone who's not comfortable with vocabulary or who takes time to mark the answer, please leave these questions. Come back to these questions in the end if you have time. Otherwise, the potential of wasting time is significantly high in this particular question type.
So let me actually count 0 to 2. I did not get anything from this page. Okay, let's say let me
Yeah,
say right.
that's fine. No issues at all.
Uh, so let's go to, for example, the next page.
Yeah.
Uh, only
Now
the
you should
cold,
be able to. Hmm.
only the blood-stained road was a witness blank is assassination. So this is okay.
Witness to is witness to is assassination.
The
Yeah.
peasant refused to grovel blank the feet as faster at the feet. I think,
And yeah, these are questions you'll definitely get.
and when you have question, for example, match the following. So if I know that
My favorite.
schism is split, I think story is over.
A4. Only one? A5, sorry, only one. Yeah, that's the end of the story. Match the
And you,
following is my favorite question type as far as the IFT is concerned.
then there is this question number 52. If you look at this question, so all the sentences seems to be samely worded. So when fishing, always tell you, tell you, tell you. The difference happens in this word. There is lose, and this one talks about this word lose, and then the second part is the same fish because sorry. The second part is fish because the line feels, fish because the line feels, line feels, line feels. So then you have another word that is here. So this is lose and that is lose. Basically, it's about knowing what does this word mean, right? So if you know the meaning of this word, lose, though everybody would know. No? I
I'm
think
sure everyone will know.
so. I
LOSC
think,
pertains lost.
uh,
LOSC would pertain to being dealer.
okay.
Okay, that's
To
right.
uh,
The previous question, I'm sure people would be able to mark the answer. 51 also.
okay, so we have got four now.
Hmm.
This particular question, to flog a dead horse.
Yeah,
So I think
idioms and
either you know.
phrases.
Actually, you know something. Eventually, they gave mark for option one and option four.
Yeah, that happens every year. In fact, IFT every year has a few incorrect questions, and then everyone gets a few marks. So you
Okay.
never get a zero in IFT unless you really have worked very hard in this.
Then you have these questions here. A pipe dream, at least, so people would know. I think it's a pipe dream, impractical plan. Anti-merid, I don't know how many would know. It is between post-meridian,
Oh, but
anti-meridian.
anti-meridian, I'm sure, old mother, great mother, now they would, I'm sure people eliminate these. But people might get confused between 1 and 4. So we can leave
Okay.
this, but the previous question, 53, I'm sure everyone would be able to solve. If we just
So,
go back to the question, how many
uh,
questions we have got?
so
53.
we have got so far,
Flog a
I've
dead
not
horse.
added one, two, three, four, five, maybe four, five. Okay.
Yeah, 6 also, 53 also,
Uh,
Gejo.
Sixth question. And look at this. Sunita's blank in athletics yielded rich blank as she got a scholarship.
Hmm.
So you
So,
can't say
one
rich
says,
money,
one
huh?
says, yeah. Yeah.
Rich appreciation, rich appointment. So this would be fine.
Hmm.
Rich dividends. In blank of international matter, there is always element of rich. In blank, one might do. Doing one might do. What does that even mean? In spite of matter. So this doesn't make sense. In case of
Right.
international matter, there is always a risk. So either do or aa gaya.
So all
And
again.
then you have then you have this paragraph jumble with
With
options.
choice. Yes, absolutely right.
So
This
so
would be a big relief for everyone.
for example, if I look at, for example, this question here, okay, you see this particular question talks about the commission. This question talks about European Commission. So at least I know that
Yeah.
after
So
C, A has to come. So this is A is before C, A is before C, A is before C. All this gone. So after C, A
this
has
is
to
very
come.
common, Gijo.
Uh, so here using options, you can get. I'm sure that this, after solving itna paragraph summary of cat, this 3 is gone. So we can actually realistically say, even if let's say I got a 0 from page number 1, this particular
Right.
page I'm looking at close to about 9, maybe 8. 8 threes are GP 24, I think.
24.
20 at least. Let's take 20. Plus, you have already said how many from RC we should take? 36, 30,
30,
35, 36.
36 is the minimum. Yeah, 35 is the minimum you should look at. 55.
So there is a potential of getting 45 odd mark or 40 odd mark. So it is
No,
not like I should now
Gijo, that
study
will be Gijo, that will be
50
55.
or 55. Huh? Oh my God, that is too much.
Yeah,
Huh? 50 marks
50
plus
plus is
potentially.
never an issue. See, Gijo, where people lose out is they will start spending time and trying to understand even if they don't know the meaning of the word. They'll waste time in analogies. You don't know the meaning of the word, move on. They'll waste time in the stupid crosswords. So which is why I'm saying you have to treat GA and EU similarly. Where will you score marks? You will score marks in fill in the blanks. You will score marks in parajumbles. You will score marks in idioms and phrases. Vocabulary, you get a word which you know, please mark and move on. If you don't know, please leave and move on. But keep moving.
So the key is that even if let's say even if I'm able to do 5 questions, then I should not be feeling bad on anything.
No,
So
not
if
at
I
all.
go
Sectional cutoff will not be an issue. What that means is you'll have to maximize in some other place. RC you need to maximize. EU will not maximize because EU is going to be, as I said, vocabulary oriented. And unless you have a very good vocabulary, it is not going to work out for you. So all those people who have been voracious readers since childhood, you are at a huge advantage because not only are you good at reading, you will be able to get the meaning of the words from the context. You may not know the exact meaning of the word, but you'll have a broad idea what the word means, and then you will be able to eliminate choices.
So the key here is that people get worried there are 20 questions, 60 marks, therefore EU is more important than reading comprehension. No, 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 no. From this 45 is where I have to get 35 marks. From this 60, even if I get 15 marks, I'm looking at
Yeah,
the net of 50, right, GP? Hmm?
that's it. That's it. To me, it is always going to be, can you look at the 40 plus 20 on the lower side? Yes, higher you go, the better it is. And between now and IFT, you have sufficient time. You can build up your vocabulary on a daily basis, a bit by bit. At least the parajumble will not be an issue, and fill in the blanks will not be an issue.
So together, how many minutes do you think people should spend here?
Say 35 plus 10 on the higher side. I
45?
again, as I said, it could be 40 to 45. RC, I will say give 30 minutes. Definitely, you can go up to 35 minutes. EU 10 minutes. Because if you are spending more time, it means you are going to collect negatives. You are wasting time by trying to eliminate options when you don't know the meaning of the word.
Yeah. So even if it was EU was individual, let me actually look at that one. EU individual, we are looking at the cutoff like the
Six questions.
2.75 marks out of.
6 questions. No, not 6 questions. Sorry. This would be about the 0.75 marks for you. So
Correct, correct.
0.75 marks is going to be about 4 questions. 4 to 6
Yeah.
questions again.
So even if let's say it comes in individual sections, you don't randomly same thing like general awareness. Don't no risk. English usage, no risk whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think which comes to the quantitative ability, which looks GP over to you. I'll open it and you start.
One of the biggest issues about this paper is it seems the people who create the quant question are fond of story writing. Look at question number 1, question number 5. This is an unnecessary story they have given. There have been stories with which a person is wants to take his mother to the hospital because she's not feeling well because she contracted malaria a few days ago. He takes out his Maruti car, but it is raining heavily, and so he's not able to drive fast. And the story goes on and half a page of story. And the end, they'll say, how much time did he take? They have given the speed, they want you to find the time. So that is one issue which you should be clear. As far as IFT is concerned, please leave these lengthy questions.
This is
Length
round
will get
two.
counting. This is round two. This is round two. Simple. Question two is round one. The length of the question tells you which question you do first. Okay. Question two is round one. Okay. Question seven is round one. It's the length of the question which tells me that what should I be doing.
And the question 7 is also if I take x minus 5 modulus equal to y, this becomes a simple y square plus 5y minus 24,
Absolutely.
y minus 5 plus 8 into y minus 3.
Yeah.
And that also y should be equal to 3 or y is equal to be equal to minus 8 can't be negative. Y will be 3. Which value can you take? So x equal to 2 or x equal to 8.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, so,
10.
when looking at the level of difficulty, it is going to be easier than cat. The level of difficulty of quant is lesser than that of cat. However, this is a story writing which they do, which is an issue. So choose the question based on the length. After that, you can always come back and do these other questions. Now, I'm not saying these are difficult questions. I'm saying they're lengthy to read, understand itself. We are going to take a couple of minutes, so which is why you should come back to it later. Um, on page one, you have already looked at a few questions. Look at question number 6, Gejo, just for a minute.
6.
Yeah,
Huh.
a very easy question. Very easy question. Successive percentages. 20% of 80% is 60%. That is the concept which is effectively being used out here. Very easy question, but you need to read the complete thing, write down the data, and then you will do it. So, to me, the level of difficulty is not the issue. The issue is the length of the question.
But you'll also find questions like this. For example, this seems to be okay. If I look
Yeah,
at page, what happened here? So, okay, sorry.
you went,
Next page.
yeah. Need to increase the, yeah.
You still get the questions here. For example, the
Yeah,
number.
absolutely. And this question, the standard SQC technique, what is 37 to power 1 minus 26 to power 1? Is it divisible by what? Look at the pattern. Another thing which Gejo, you had pointed out, the difference is going to be an odd number, so it cannot be a multiple of an even number.
Yeah.
Answer has to be choice 2. SQC techniques will work. Just go back, go look at these other questions. Ninth is fine. Gejo, question ninth.
Yeah.
Yeah, height and distances. Every year you will find one odd question. So height and distances is there. You'll expect a question from there. And typically it is 30, 60, 90 and 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Remember in smart quant tracker raised to 90, what did we say? 30, 60, 90, the ratio of sides is 1 is to root 3 is to 2. And similarly 45, 41, 1 is to 1 is to root 2. Remember this. This will save you a lot of time in these height and distance questions. You'll have to make the figure. Don't try to do this orally. Make the figure, put the numbers, and you'll get the answer very fast. Question 10, story. Leave it. Question 11. Back to say raised to 99 smart coin tracker. Two of the longer sides are 13 and 12. Can you think of a triangle which has 13, 12, right angle triangle? 5, 12, 13? The angles of the triangle are in arithmetic progression. A 5, 12, 13 would be, or rather 5, 12, 13. Okay. Angles of triangle are in arithmetic progression. It has to be 30, 60, 90. So one
This,
is so
this
it may not be.
it may not be that, no? Then, huh.
No, it will not be 5, 12, 13. 30, 60, 90. There's 1 is to root 3 is to 2. So now I will do it accordingly. Longer sides are 13 is the hypotenuse. So all I'm saying is go back to your raised to 99 and you will be able to find the answers there. Look at question 12. What time between 2 and 3 will the arms of the watch be completely opposite to each other? So the minute hand will be between 2 and 3. Opposite 2 is 8. 2 plus 6, 8. And opposite 3 is going to be 9. That means my answer should be between 240 and 245. Only one choice. Yeah,
So idea is that whatever is working for cat should work here.
absolutely. It will work comfortably. You don't need to do anything extra for IFT quant except height and distances. Trigonometry, height and distance is what you need to do. Everything else you can assume is the same. Question 19 we'll worry about later. If you know geometry, do question number 20. Question 21, again, I will do what I do in Smart Quant Tracker. 2 plus root 2 will be 3.4. 2 plus 1.4. Question 21, sorry.
Hmm.
Okay, this will be 3.4 and 8 minus root 2. 55, 5.5 square is going to be 30.25. So this will be something like 5.6, 5.7. So 8 minus 5.6 is going to be 2.4. Substitute, get the values. Okay.
Or use
Substitute.
conjugate and solve, whichever way it works.
I never do conjugate. I'll just x plus 2.4 plus 1 upon 3.4. 1 upon 3 is 0.33. So 1 upon 3.4 is going to be about 0.3. Okay, so 2.7 square is 27 square, 729, 7.3. My answer should be approximately 7.3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Choice 1 is wrong. X square
20.
will be 5.76 multiplied by less than 1. So long answer.
So choice 3 also
Similarly,
will be wrong.
y square is y was how much? 3.4. Yeah.
Hmm.
34 square will be almost 10. More than, yeah. Choice 3 is also wrong.
And then you can find out. Chalo.
Yeah. And again, just to give the shortcut, 64 by 81 is almost 64 by 80. It is 4 by 5. Yeah. So all I'm saying is SQC techniques will work. Whatever you have done for quant will work. It is not going to be a challenge to do 10 out of 25 questions. 10, 12 questions you can comfortably do in this paper in 25 to 30 minutes.
How much time would you consider people should spend here in this
I will
year?
I will normally say about 30 minutes. As far as this section is concerned, 30 minutes is what you should be looking at doing. If you are very good in quant, you might be able to do it in 25 minutes. But 30 minutes is what I say because if you see the length of the questions, the amount which you need to read to solve the same number of questions is going to be higher as compared to CAT.
So 10 questions is what you want to look at roughly, right?
Yeah,
8,
10, 12
8.
questions.
Okay.
Again, if you look at the cutoff is not high. Just go back to the cutoffs. Cutoffs are low. Look at last 2 years.
My
15 marks,
God.
5 questions, 8 marks, 3 questions. Even earlier papers, look at 1 mark per paper, never it has gone beyond 5 questions. So if you are weak in quant, don't worry, do 8 to 10 questions, selected 8 to 10 questions in 30 minutes, you will clear the sectional cutoff.
Or even
In this
6 question and maximize somewhere else. Yeah.
yeah, in this paper, clearing a sectional cutoff is not a challenge except in general awareness.
So let's have a look at logic and data interpretation, which will be here, which is that section, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Now which paper is this, Gejo? This is the last year or the year before last?
so let me
Looks
let
like
me
the
actually
year
look at.
before last paper, I think.
So I
Yeah,
think this
20.
is year before last paper. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, typically when you look at IFT as a paper, DI has always been difficult. Last to last year was one of the few years when DI was easy. Typically, they would give 15 to 16 questions of DI, and if you look at the sectional cutoff of DI, typically it was about 1 mark. Gijo, again, I'll have to request you to go back to the PPT.
Sure. No problem.
Yeah, just to give the context again. Look at the DI when it is alone. Yes. So DI has always been very difficult. Lots of calculation. They will not ask you which is the smallest or which is the biggest, which is the third highest. Now that stupid thing means you need to calculate all for all of them. Okay, they will give you lengthy statements. They will give you difficult choices, close choices with lots of calculation. So DI has typically been difficult as far as this particular paper has been concerned, and the general rule has been 5 to 7 minutes for DI. Do one set of 4 questions, either one set or do 4 questions across sets. That has been the typical tendency, and LR has typically been easy. Typically, it has been easy. But occasionally, what happens, DI becomes easy and LR becomes difficult, and then obviously you need to reverse. So when you have LR and DI as a common section, as a combined section, you need to first check out how does DI look. Does it look easy, difficult, complicated? If it looks difficult, complicated, you know you have to maximize in LR. Otherwise, you'll have to say, okay, let me do bit of DI and then go to LR. Okay.
Do you want to quickly look at those questions here
No. So
from well,
2022 was a very good paper of DI. You'll find these
okay,
are simple graphs. You'll be able to solve them. This was a set which could leave. Actually, this
okay.
was a bit of time consuming, not difficult, but yes, this was a leavable graph. Now these are the three DI sets which are similar to what you would expect in CAT. But if you look at any of the earlier papers, you'll find DI was terrible.
The second
Yeah,
thing, but then you have these ones, no, which is LR, typical LR, right? This will be
typical
like,
LR.
so this is a
Yes,
standard analytical reasoning question, I believe.
yes.
Game, which of the following stands together?
Hmm.
Occasionally, I'm sure that they also have single questions also, GP, right?
They have out of the 15 to 20 question of DI of LR which they will also have questions. Okay, yeah, in fact, it's there. They will have question of input output. They will have some question of arrangement. They can even give you the sequence and series. Again, you see, when I look at IFT, I typically call it a South Indian thali. The reason is no one area has a large number of questions, whether it is GK, whether it is EU, whether it is LR. You'll have two, three questions of all kinds. So if there's one particular area you're good at, you'll find two, three questions from there. If you have one particular area you're pathetic at, let's say input output, there'll be two, three questions from there also. So your task is to keep attempting what you know and keep leaving what you don't know. And it is much more important in IFT than as compared to CAT and that because here time is much lesser as compared to other people. Look at it. IFT 110 odd questions to us. CAT is 76 questions to us and cleanly defined 14 to 3. Here you have to keep a track of the time also. You have to, because if you don't keep a track of the time, suddenly you'll find the last section you don't have sufficient time.
So in sort of this is how it looks like, GP. So
Hmm.
what we are saying is English usage, reading comprehension. English usage give about 10 minutes. Reading comprehension
Right.
give about 35 minutes.
Hmm.
Look at 45 minutes and target. So this is
65.
one thing that you had mentioned 150. So this I think you have to explain to the students as well. The
Yeah.
total target. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall score, I would always look at the 150 marks because at 150 marks, I will sure I will clear the cutoff. If you look, if we when we went looked at the sectional, the overall cutoffs, it was never more than 50 marks out of 100. And last year it was 137 marks, 138 marks. And remember, those 137, 138 marks happened because there were few incorrect questions for which everyone was given marks. People in the last year, students got anything from 5 to 15 marks depending upon what they had attempted. So on an average, 10 marks were given to everyone in the last 2 years. Okay, so actually the cutoff would, by that logic, should have been between 125 to 30. So 150 is a very safe score to look at. If you are 150, you are sure you will get an interview call from IFT. Okay. And again, just to remind, 115 overall cutoff, the sum of the sectional cutoff will be 70, 75. So you need to maximize in two sections, and one section where you have to definitely maximize is English usage.
So reading comprehension English, I think that is where the maximum 45. That is where,
Yes,
and especially reading comprehension. That is
yes,
where if you spend time, you can push the score because we are basically assuming that out of this 20 questions, you might know about 8 questions. Okay, that is our basic assumption about that'll be about 24 marks, right? 24, 25 marks. Out of this 15, 16 odd question, if you can get 12 correct, that's about 36. That'll be about 60. That is you're looking at about 60 plus or even getting to 65 is what you can look at. So if you want to
if,
push the score to 150, then you need about 65-ish from English, right?
yes. And if you are somewhat okay with vocabulary, getting to about 30 marks in usage is not going to be a challenge. So this is where you can look at 30 marks because, as I said, fill in the blanks, para jumbles with choices. Uh, those kind of questions you'll be able to eliminate and get the answers very fast. It is the out of these 20 questions, there will be about 7 to 10 questions which are going to be pure vocabulary. It is those 8 questions on an average where you'll have a challenge. So you break this 20 question to 12 questions of which are solvable and 8 questions which are pure vocabulary oriented. Out of those 8, you get 2 or 3. Out of the remaining 12, you get 7 or 8. You are at about 10 net correct answers. So, which is I said 25 to 30 is doable in this section. So, which is what he had also said 8 into 3, 24.
Yeah. So quantitative ability, basically you're saying that spend about 30 minutes. Uh, look at about 10 plus questions coming out of it. Net.
And if you are good in quant, then this is a section where you need to be looking at 40, 15 questions, so I think 45. If you are good in RC, you in any case you should be looking at 40 plus. But if you are good in quant, you need to be looking at 40, 45 plus. If you are not good in quant, you need to be looking at saying, can I get 25 marks?
These are rough estimate. I think you should figure out your own planning. And we have put logical reasoning data interpretation as a star because you have to make an assessment how difficult or easy data interpretation is. All put together spend about 40 minutes. I
Yeah,
think.
and just to repeat, it could be 30 in LR and 10 minutes in DI, or it could be 35 in LR and 5 minutes in DI. And if it's a combined section and DI is terrible, it could even be 40 minutes in LR and 0 in DI. Remember, if it's a combined section, there's no subsectional cutoff. There's a total cutoff only.
It can very well be other way around also, depending upon how the paper
Absolutely.
is.
As absolutely.
So,
Last to last year, DI was easy. The three sets of DI you could do comfortably in 20 minutes. And LR, there was one set which was incorrect, which led to wastage of time for everyone.
and GK is general event is about 5
5
minutes,
minutes.
about 5 questions. That's a story.
Yeah.
So let's pick up some questions from the students, GP, and then we can
Sure.
let's start. Any question? We've got a lot of comments. So somebody's asking, can you show the cutoff in LR, DI, and Quant? I think let me open the cutoff page, GP, for the benefit of everyone while we take the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Oops. Again. It's like it's saying that I have to. Let me give me a second.
Okay.
Just give me a second, okay? GP, in the meanwhile, we can look at some questions. So
Yeah.
I'll
There's a question from Saransh. How to prepare CAT prep plus mock test enough? Absolutely. Prepare for CAT. Don't do anything extra beyond CAT, except as I said, in quant, you need to look at height and distance, trigonometry questions. Uh, in addition to that, you look at mocks and last 5, 6 years papers. So I'll say IFT last 5 to 6 years papers you should definitely attempt. Along with that, do the mocks. That is more than enough. Between CAT and IFT, there is a 1 week gap. One Sunday is CAT, next Sunday is IFT. In that period, make sure you do 4 papers back to back because you have to change the way you take the paper. So taking those 4 to 5 papers back to back will ensure you will be well prepared.
pick another question from Naman. Shouldn't we try to clear the cutoff of each section and then maximum one or two sections? He's saying that, or go section by section. The question is,
See, Naman, I will typically say go sequentially in whichever sequence. Once you enter the section, just exit the section and don't come back to it again. See,
okay.
when I say you have to maximize, supposing RC becomes difficult, hypothetically, it has never happened, but let me assume you will not come back to it again. So, whatever you do it once and just get rid of the section. This is not a paper in which you will have time to come back. Saying I will keep 10 minutes as buffer in the end, unlikely to happen.
Okay, what is this? This is another question. Sir, please tell me I got 68% in 10th and 50% in 12th. Can I get no IFT? IFT doesn't do they care about these things? No.
No, except for the top irons, most of the institute don't care about what marks you got in 10th, 12th graduation. IFT for interview calls does not look at your section, your marks in school or college. uh, I think, if I remember correctly, the IFT paper has about 60% weightage in the overall score. So if you do well here, and there will be another 25 to 30% weightage for the interview process, which means everything else is about 10% or so. So yes, you can make it to IFT.
I'm a fresher. Which college or non-CAT form should we apply? Oh, this
Okay.
is a different question.
Please apply, whether it is fresher or not fresher. You should definitely take CAT. You should take ZAT. You should take IFT. After that, you can take a call, but these 3 papers you should definitely take.
Perfect. Next question from Anuj. Is LR as easy compared to CAT? Or
LR
as
is
difficult?
easier. It is easier as compared to CAT. See, where is the issue in IFT? The issue in IFT is DR is can be very, very, let's say, sadistic. The people who create DI sets are typically sadists, I would say. The other problem in this paper is that EU, the vocabulary can be an issue. Third is general awareness, you will know limited number of questions. So where you are weak, which is EU vocabulary, general awareness, just do what you know and keep leaving rest of the stuff. and keep on trying to maximize in the other areas, which is RC, LR, and QA.
Do you have a screen calculator in IFT?
No, no
No,
calculator in IFT.
not there. Would you recommend reading RC questions first?
No,
No.
I don't believe in that. I will
Read the.
I will go to the passage and then go to the questions.
Yeah.
But
What is
Harsha,
it?
this is a choice you need to exercise. If you want to do it, you can do it. But that is not my recommendation.
Yeah. Marks versus percentile. So do we have the data? I
So
think they
the
give a rank,
percentile,
no?
no, they give percentile, but to me, percentile is not I ever bothered about, because ultimately they give you the marks at which the cutoff happens. CAT does not give the scores at which the cutoff is happening, or IIMs don't give the cutoff score. They go by percentile only. So there you have to focus on percentile. Here you have to say, I need 150 marks in a 300 mark paper, or if it is 50, 100 mark paper, I need 50 marks. So look at this sheet. It is over an elongated period. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 7 different IFTs that are in front of you. This gives you a complete range of the paper.
So there is a cutoff for EWS. Would we know? Is it there? Or?
EWS will be similar to NCOBC.
Okay. So we've got some question. Somebody is asking what is SQC technique. That is. So Ramya is asking.
Ramya, it seems you did not attend the race to 99 session of Quant. It was conducted twice. Will possibly be conducted end of this month again. Please attend the session then. It will give you alternate ways of solving questions fast.
So it is smart quant cracker. I actually in the GP Ka Funda YouTube channel, there are some GPs Jugad. So there are about 5 videos that is kept. You can have a look at it. So we have got what else? We have got some more question. So you got Simrat has a question: how to manage for CAT, IFT, ZAD, GP? Too many things to do.
I
What to
think
do?
one we have tackled this in a separate video together. How to manage multiple papers. The however, what you need to be clear is you are preparing for CAT. Whatever is relevant for CAT will be relevant for IFT also. The only addition, as I said, being heightened distance in Quant, vocabulary in EU, and the third thing is general awareness. General awareness, daily newspaper reading should be sufficient. The compendium which we'll provide will take care of it. As far as the ZAT is concerned, please look at it after CAT, after IFT rather. Till then, don't worry about ZAT at all. And the only thing extra you need to do is look at decision making, which we will conduct classes separately.
One other thing I would want to add, Simrat, is that when you look at this, you're basically saying that your marks in English is coming from where? Reading comprehension, which is heart of CAT. QA, more or less the same. DALR, there are certain types of question you might have to do separately, but more or less the same. General awareness is the same. It's just that you have to use your advantage that you already have, and based on that advantage that you already have, how can I maximize? I think the worry happens when we start looking at EU. There are so many questions. What do I do? Should I go studies? No. The way I look at it, let me look at what is the best that I can do given the time that I have. So there's another question from.
And
Sorry.
just to add to what you said, Gejo, please that this does not mean to from tomorrow onwards start mugging up words.
Yeah, no, please don't. Vamshi has a question. Any preferable order of attempt? Can I take it?
Okay.
So basically, I'm so used to attempting BRC, DLR, and QA. So used to every single day because of CAT. Might as well do it is what I'll take. But I'm sure that you can do whichever. I'll probably start with general awareness and finish off everything as much as I can do, and then look at the rest of the thing first. And I think what we also said was in our total addition, if I quickly go to that slide once, GP, in the total addition that we put here, if you add all this time limit here, 45 plus 30
75,
plus,
75,
how much is
it's
that?
at 120. It's adding up to 120.
120. Okay. So here you might want to probably, let's say, spend some time. So sort of. So let me actually go back to this one. You might have to spend that initial sort of some time to figure out into what the paper is broadly. Is it one section, or also 6 section or 4 section, and then look at whichever is a reasonable order of attempt. My take is I will start with English, DLR, and QA because I'm so used to it. That's all. That's my answer.
Yeah, and Jijo, I normally start with general awareness. I want to
Correct, of
just get
course.
rid of this, just get rid of GA first, and then I follow the same sequence. I do EURC first, because I know RCs I have to maximize. Let me do it first. Then I will go for LR because LR usually is easy and I can complete it. Then I look at DI and then QA. QA lasts 30 minutes because even when I'm tired, I will do well in QA. So that's a section I enjoy doing. So I'll leave it for the end. But you work out your pattern as what works for you. But as
Yeah.
Gejo said, you are so used to taking English, DILR, Quant, you might as well follow the same sequence.
Another question is where can we get last 2 year IFT papers? You said.
They would be there in your aspiration account. If they are
Let me
not there,
just.
we'll have a. They will be available.
So let me actually check if that is available. So so if I look at uh, okay, so this is our where is it? This is our aspiration account. When you go to, I think it's about study material. If you click on the aspiration account, you see previous year's paper. When you click on the previous year paper, we have got IFT papers, and you have till 27. I think we should update the other one, GP. Okay, so
Needs to be updated. Okay. They
yeah.
might be available as an actual paper which you have to attempt online because last 2 years have been online papers. So
Okay,
we'll
okay,
have
okay.
it updated. We'll
So let
have
me
it
actually.
updated if it's done.
So if I
I think
look
we
at
just
our.
need to talk on it to
Okay, so let me actually look at mock test.
no, we'll
Hmm.
ask Ravi to have it included because this was
Okay, okay.
discussed. Yeah, not at mocks. Just see.
Oh,
No,
okay,
not
okay,
yet.
okay, okay,
Okay,
okay,
so
okay.
we'll have that included.
Okay, sure, sure, sure. What else? So next questions along with cat. When should we start giving non-cat mocks?
IFT you can start now because the papers are very similar. At least start taking the older IFT papers. I would say start taking IFT papers from 2014 or at least the 7 papers that we have mentioned. Start from the last paper and keep taking them. At least get used to the paper pattern and make sure you have about 4 to 5 papers to be taken between CAT and IFT so that in that 1 week at least you get attuned to the way an IFT paper has to be taken.
Shrey has a very interesting question. Can we ignore any quant topics for preparation?
Yes, you can say, except arithmetical algebra, everything can be ignored as usual.
Yeah, I've not seen it. It's still that, no? It's still arithmetic and algebra and geometry. The same usual thing.
Absolutely, the questions are the same. Any of these questions could easily have been in a CAT paper and vice versa.
Okay, I'm going to pick this up. Gejo sir, big fan. So hi. Sorry. Question is GK has negative marking. Everything has negative
Every
marking.
section, everything has negative marking, which is 1/3 of the marks of this question.
Yeah, so it don't confuse this with ZAT. ZAT GK is different. So I think IFT GK is integral part. We have another question. Sir, 28th November is SCAT. 5th December is IFT. 8th December is NMAT. Any tips on how many mocks to do that time? So I think what you will have to do is that after IFT, the only concern that you should have will be ZAT. So ensure that see IFT and NMAT logical reasoning is something that you should do now
Hmm.
because NMAT logical reasoning is very different. So even in NMAT, it's the same logic. You have to maximize from reading comprehension and the paragraph jumble when it comes to English usage section. And vocabulary very similar to what we discussed in IFT. Maths will be more or less the same. It's a logical reasoning of NMAT which is going to be different. The logical reasoning in NMAT is something that you should do now. So that's something I want to say. Anything else you want to add, GP?
I think that completes everything. I think, yeah, this is fine. I don't think anything else can be done. The 2 days between IFT and MAT take 2 papers. That's all.
So, well, I think this is a good question. Should we continue with our cat prep for cat or any additional thing to be done? I think by and large, continue with it. Once in a while, ensure that you take one test of IFT or whichever exam, IFT and NMAT. Weekly, once in a while, you keep a test so that you can get your tune aligned. And then once a cat is done, like GP said, 4 days, 4 tests to completely get in line with it. So, anything else we want to look at? So we have Eden Sa. Sir, NMAT is there in October. So mocks and GK पर can start at post there for IFT. October का उसका है.
Yeah,
So उसके बाद, yeah.
yeah, not an issue at all. Till October, focus on CAT plus NMAT. After NMAT, focus on CAT plus IFT.
Yeah. Anything else? I think we have answered. Any more questions?
I don't think so. I think almost all the questions which are relevant have been
Yeah.
taken care of.
As competitive comes in 15 over, can we mug up GK before that? Please don't mug GK. Read newspaper regularly as a habit. I think this is a good habit to have. Might as well read.
Daily newspapers will give you, if not more, at least 7, 8 out of 20 questions. Daily newspaper reading is essential. Vijay, no specific topics. Remember, this is South Indian Thali. 2 to 3 questions of books and authors, 2 to 3 questions from politics, 2 to 3 questions from international organizations, and so on and so forth. Business, everything will have 2 to 3 questions. So, no topic. Focus on what you understand, because in any case, you have to do only 50% of the questions.
Good question. Can we ignore GK? Now,
No.
this is my point of view. You, because you have lived so long, you know stuff. And I've seen that, because if you're someone who has general habit of knowledge and things, you should be able to answer 4 to 5 questions that you need. So in that sense, you can ignore GK, but there is no need to ignore it, because you keep aware of what, keep looking at what happens around you. That's it. Anything else?
No, I
So you've
think
got
I'm
somebody.
done.
GP sir solves question very fast in your G card. So there you go.
Thank you.
Can we do GK after cat?
No.
That'll be horrible.
So you won't have time. Yes. GK is not something it's not a pill you have and then you are fine. You have to do it on a daily basis. That compendium will also help if you read newspapers daily. While you can memorize, mug up the compendium, but if you are reading newspapers daily, you'll find it much more easier to remember data.
So I think most of the questions are not in-depth knowledge question. No, basically it's asking more or less, do you know what is happening around you?
So,
So just
for
keep.
example, this year you can definitely expect questions from Olympics and Paralympics. There are few questions which are likely to come from there.
And the last 1 year, because not many things have happened because of COVID, I'm sure that the number of news items also
Hmm.
less. Okay, I think will 30 mocks be enough for what? Pinak, 30 mocks for what?
30 marks इसके लिए क्या करोगे? See, you look at it, 5 mocks and 5 to 6 old IFT papers. 12 papers more than enough.
For cat, now just do 10 mocks. Don't. 10 12 mocks maximum. IFT about 4 to 5 mocks. NMAT about 5 mocks. I think kitna karoge will be too much. How to for cat? Pinak is asking for cat. 30 more than enough.
Yeah, 30 are more than enough, Pinak.
I think
I
we
would
have
typically say 20 mocks is what one needs, but if you want to go up to 30, it's fine.
how to manage pace for cat and IFT. So I think we discussed a lot. Harsh, I think the pace management is about not getting stuck in GK, not getting stuck in EU, and not getting stuck in some questions here and there. That is all there is. IFT and CAT uh, gives you opportunity of questions. Every exam gives opportunity of easy questions about picking them, solving those things. So that's how pace is. Nothing else. Just don't get stuck. I think we have answered all the questions. So I think this will be an interesting question, GP. I think how what is this IAFT International Business Course? Is it different from other MBAs?
Almost
So
the same. The only difference would be probably a few questions of few subjects pertaining to international trading, international business environment. But it's an MBA course. And the other thing one needs to understand now is all MBA institutes now give you international business. Is there something called domestic business or international business? Every business now looks at the world as a geography which you have to cater to. So get rid of this thing. MBA, IB, it is Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. At one point of time, it needed to be distinct and it had to have specific areas to focus on. Now, what is being taught in IFT and what is being taught in the top IIMs is almost the same. Okay? But yes, if you're looking at trading, commodities, etc., then there are chances of getting opportunities are higher in IFT as compared to IIMs because of the legacy.
the door question, a question, which newspaper to prefer? Economic Times, Hindu Times,
जो
anything,
जो समझ
anything?
आता है
हाँ, जो
जो
आपको
समझ
आता है.
आता है
किसी का फीडबैक है, सार्थक हैज गॉट अ क्रिप. CL मॉक्स में कुछ भी कभी कभी डीएलआर बहुत इजी, बहुत हार्ड, कभी बहुत इजी, क्या कर रहे हैं जीपी आप?
ये प्रॉब्लम ये कैट के साथ भी है ना. Cat also gives at times easy sets and difficult sets, so you can't help it. You need to learn to deal with ambiguity.
Yeah. चलो,
And then
will
one
there be
last thing
separate
before we close.
yeah.
These are one last thing before we close. The easiest paper to get an interview call is IFT. It is easier than getting a call from IMs. It is easier than getting a call from XLRE for the simple reason: one, it is only going to focus on your marks, unlike CAT, which will look at your past academics. तुम्हारी जन्म पत्री लेके बैठ जाएंगे. Second, this is a paper. If you maximize your scores in English, you will get a call. And yes, don't mess up GK. Make sure you do 5 to 6 correct answers and then leave the rest.
So there is next session is NMAT. I think we are planning, Manvi. We should
Yeah.
do that. Okay, somebody's talking about Cat 22 Harsh. I think we'll do that separately. All right, I think this was good, and thank you all. I hope this was beneficial. Thank you for joining in. We initially did not think that it's going to be 1.5 hours, but it turned out to be it's fine. I hope this was beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Bye. All the best, and do go through the old papers of
Yeah.
IFT. Actually. Good night.
Good night.